Welcome in. All right. Hello. Oh, no, I don't want you to go to hell. I don't want you to go low. That's not the way to welcome somebody. How about hi? Let's go higher. Man, let's have some integrity around here and say wholeness. Let's have a whole pie, not just a quarter or piece or slice. Man, we keep wanting pieces. We're putting our fractal pieces to a wholeness here. So thank you and welcome in. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Yes, we're getting after it today. Yeah, yep, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. We're getting after it. Somebody told me quit using the word yes, sir. It's always something that I was taught to do, and I'm always open to change. And you know what? The more and more, I'm going off the cuff today. And you say, what you going off the cuff today? I have to. I haven't really went off the cuff today. What am I going to go on the cuff about? Let's think about it. I'm going to go on the cuff today thinking about how we look at things, observe things, and see things. And how we see things from a basis of beginning to end, right? Or quickly going into judgment. Seeing things before it's time, or its process is finished, right? Wanting things to happen on our terms, our ways, especially when it's coming from ego-based or fear-based reality. Instead of letting something cook, process that actually doesn't really work in the grand scheme of the whole thing of when you look at situations, people, reality, functionality, and abilities and adaptabilities. And what I mean by that is when we look at this reality and we're always wanting to have somebody do something that we think that's right because it seems best for them, but there may be something that they need first or go through or process or go through something if it's a trial, a situation of growth, a growth period, a growth spurt, a correction, whatever it may be, that we want to pull somebody or something into. And if I go into just what are you trying to say here? You're kind of going here and there. I'm grabbing different areas because we're vast. And sometimes people can't be vast yet. They're still a vase. They can't have vastness yet because they're still a base here. What I'm saying is they still might be going up and the base starts thinning out on certain bases, right? Depending on how they look. But usually the base is more wide, the foundation, and then the vase are vast. Same word, VAS, right? Vase or vast. And as it goes up, it starts to skinny or have a direction that it's taking you, the vase is going up, or then you put in it what you want from the top, which is a smaller circumference usually, and right, and then if I could go like this, maybe better circumference, but down here it spreads or widens. It's a foundation is what I'm saying. So sometimes we may want somebody to get something that we see as needed. And as we see it's needed, and we understand it's needed, but it may not be their journey, particularly now. And this definitely when you're trying to raise your vibrational frequency up and you're trying to do the things you're doing on your journey in being aware, being conscious, raising it to the place of next level. I'm going to be honest for myself recently, last 2 months plus, 2 months and a quarter, 2 months and a half to 2 months and a quarter, is that I've had this elevation that connected past elevation of less than a year, but pretty close, 9 to 10 months of a journey or a frequency vibration change that I had and our revelations that I was revelating in and seeing. But 9, 10 months later, And I'm even going to go back a year before that. Things I was saying and doing, especially a little bit on my channel, but mostly with really people who are conscious, connected to me, was I was seeing, and I was, these words kept coming to my higher self, kept telling me, hey, hold space. Multiple times, almost every day I would hear it, 3 or 4 times a week. And then it became 3 or 4 times a week I was doing it and recognizing it by going into the astral plane through dreaming. Because when I went through the dreaming, it matched up what I was being told, but the covers of a completion of what I was understanding through those processes of the last year and 7, 8 months, nearly 2, right around there, though probably more 18, 17, maybe 19 months ago, I was seeing 11 months ago, 2.5 months ago, actually came clear the last 2.5 months of that which began 18 to 19 months ago to the next drop 11, 10 months ago. I would say it was the end of September to right around the end of September, going towards the end of September to the beginning of fall, right? Is I was being told to hold space. Now, I really didn't know what it mean, but I knew I heard it from a higher level. I almost took it through the processing. It's almost like the expansion part of holding space it was expansive, is what I started seeing out of it. It would almost be like, I use this example to my friends who we were having these conversations when we were going through this process, and we were talking about it and revelating together. Some of the people I know I almost looked at it, you know how in grade school or junior high, you would go through these processes. Jeepney, Manila. It's the transportation in the Philippines. It's a military jeep that was left. I changed subjects there, but I'm going to go to what I'm talking about, just to let you know, because I could see many people are going to say jeepney, and their eyes are caught in the jeepney. Manila these jeeps were used now for it's like transportation, let's go get a cab. And now this will be used there in the Philippines. But anyways, where it comes from is another story. Maybe I'll touch on that later. Let's get back to what I was talking about. Was holding space, you know how I would go, hey, Rich, my buddy, Rich, I gotta run back and get something from my locker. Or over here, I left something somewhere. Hold my space with you. I'm gonna get back in line. We're in lunch line, say, lunchtime. He holds my space, I go back. And I was told to hold space. So a year ago, I started seeing space expand in my dreamland. I went from having these dreams of a lot of chaos, like chaos everywhere. But always when the chaos was everywhere, there was a door that would open or a portal that opened for me to transport out of the chaos. That was happening. That kind of happened when I was seeing chaos. I'd have the spaces almost a protection and traveling out, leave this reality. And then as I was going into the process of that, leaving that very, very chaotic, people running around like chickens with their heads comes off, shooting, angry, mad. I was seeing that kind of chaos. And then I went to places where there was nothing but a unity. And if I went into deep, maybe in a past video, kind of shared these dreams, and where there was a unified field, everybody was unified. But I also seen that when I went in these spaces, they started expanding. And then it hit me, you're expanding your space, and it was no longer like I'm visiting these astral planes, is that I was marking them as a space for myself. Hear me out. But these astral planes were no longer chaotic. There was a oneness, unified field that everybody in the space that I went to, they operated in unity. There was no backbiting. Everybody was creative and what they were into of their creative abilities. They didn't worry about what Jackie Jones over here did or Jimmy Blue. They weren't in the, can I say in Mexican or in Spanish, chisma, meaning, or chismo, meaning the gossip. There was no gossip. Nobody cared about that. They were carried about what they created in the highest form. I almost would look at it, and the example use would be like, I took this space, like say if I was a blacksmith, I was a freaking best blacksmith because I was so focused on what I was creating through my blacksmithness. That's just an example. That's not what I'm saying was happening. So here, the last 2.5 months, I really kind of got uploaded and started seeing from the higher realms of reality, of density. We like to call them dimensions or densities, really, just as much as dimensions are densities, less dense realities. That there's a unified connection to them. And that's what really came clear to me the last 2 months into expanding into it, expansive way, very expansive. So what I'm saying is, when I started seeing the clarity, but then when I go into the 3D reality, we see chaos. We see governments that, I mean, in the reality that I'm in, this channel, and I've kind of shared this in a lower realm, if you're looking for any kind of church, any kind of religious, any kind of government, any kind of something that's physical out to be your savior, you're barking up the wrong tree. Because they're part of the chaos, actually. They're exemplified parts of the chaos. Yeah. There's a reason of, and I even seen it when you look at the reality we're living in and how stuff's happening, right? In the physical 3D, laughable treachery, just, you know what I mean. I hope you do. If you don't, hit me a message. I might make it clearer to you. But not to be looking at the left or right being your savior. They're not. That's all done keeping 3D. But anyways, and what really started in that expansion, I look at people that have not, what we call, having a spiritual awakening yet, right? 3D based reality is what it is. We can't make them wake up by what we want. And this goes for the next levels of anything you want. I would love dearly for all my family members and best and friends I've known for a long time just to have this grand spiritual awakening. That'd be just like, that's my will. But if my will's impressed upon somebody and pushed upon somebody, guess what? It doesn't work because you're taking their will out. Now you're playing sorceress. There's this movie called on Netflix called Alchemy of Souls. And when you start really knowing spiritual alchemy and understand the processing of it, you understand that you're taking something from a lower process of value to raise it to the highest form of value you can have in that spiritual, raising a 3D base conscious reality into a 5D next level, going through the 4D to the 5D reality. And you might say, well, what are you saying? That's what true alchemy would be. But if I impress upon you in that movie or that show, it was really wasn't really alchemy of souls, even though they took something and something else to create it, which is alchemy, but it was more alchemy for sorcery, where you become the source of somebody. When you look at what it was, they were exchanging bodies and taking somebody else's body out, putting the soul, if it wasn't one of them, was another body, and exchanging to another body. And then it was all based on dark energy matter, not true uplifting alchemy, which doesn't surprise me with the wood. We talk about the wood here all the time. They tell you the truth, and then sometimes they tell you the truth and they mix it with the lower parts of just, when I say that, that's the wood shit, is give you peace, but then give you, where I go, yeah. But anyways, so really what am I talking about? I'm talking about a conscious-based reality of knowing that you can't make somebody else do something that you want them to do until it's time for them to do it. I can't wake somebody up. I can assist somebody when they have woken up, and maybe I can assist a little bit in waking them up, but to be my will would be just like anything in a 3D reality. I'm trying to push my agenda on you. And you may need to have some more experiences that you may need to have in a lower realm to It's almost like if you raise, but you don't kind of do the work on the lower first, which is really going to be connected to always healing, right? Or good, not having, you got a rear view mirror so when you drive, you don't have to turn your head all the way around. You have a rear view mirror so you can see if you can make a left or right, how close a car is to you, if you can even, go into the next lane if you're on the freeway or in the street. You have a rear view mirror, but also we know when we drive in the rear view mirror, we have this thing that's called blind spots. So if there's any blind spots in our raising, raising of ourselves, which is alchemy, it's it's really the art of ascension is alchemy. The art, or I even say art/science together, is logic and intuition become one. They become a married couple and they actually harmonize together for your alchemical change and raising. But sometimes you may have to descend to ascend, meaning there may be people you think they're ready for here. You're saying, let's go here. We're going here so we can go to the fifth. But they may have to do something and learn a lesson that you're not realizing because it's their walk. That's what I'm saying. Or they may have to do something else. And sometimes it's easy to judge something before it's time. I think there's a New Testament scripture that talks about judge nothing before it's time. It's really talking about this, because remember, even in the New Testament, which we know had a little jacking going on, a little low jacking and hijacking going on, there are scriptures in there besides the Gnostic Gospels that have some Gnosticism, and you can find it. It's there. There's, especially like when you take certain things and you go through it. So what am I saying is that sometimes we have to see that really coming out of, shall I say, wanting something for somebody else more than they want from themselves it doesn't work. Or they're not aware of what they want yet. Or, it's like, have you tried this grapefruit from another country? And you go, no. And you're acting like they did. So you're saying, hey, let's go to the store because they have this certain fruit at this store. And they say, I don't know what you're talking about. The fruit, I'm not going with you. And you're like, you need to, because you're going to need to try this fruit. Well, it isn't whether they need to try the fruit. It's whether they're in a place to want to even try the food or open to it. And that's what I'm saying. Without saying directly, I'm giving you droplets of esoteric knowledge. So sometimes we want people to wake up, and it's a grand idea. It really is. We do. We want a harmonization to bring you a unity reality of the fifth D, the unity consciousness. But some people, to get to unity consciousness, have to go kick rocks in another place to maybe make adjustment or change. And that's all of us. Even you guys who have erased and tasted some other stuff, you may have to look back at something that you really haven't fully revelated on, and you think you do because you heard it and it was a grand idea, but it hasn't clicked into you what it's really meaning or saying, or the flip side. So for me, what I'm saying is the last 2.5 years, roughly around there, 2 years plus, I said, 19 months at the longest, give or take a month. I had these things that led me to another thing. I had a lot of dreams that did. I actually had this visions for twice in the same week, and I was seeing looping in the vision, and I was seeing the wearing out of the looping, almost like a simulation ending, and in different aspects of this. I was seeing these things, not fully to what it fully meant in the long run from me, but I was gauging them. I was marking them. And then the last 2 months, they started becoming clearer and clearer and clearer to the clarities there. And that's what really the raising into there is, to get a clarity, clairvoyant, clairescience, right? There's 5 clairs. Did you know that? Just like you have five senses, there's 5 clairs, right? Clairs, there is. Clairessence, I'm trying to remember a few of them. I actually did a video about them a long time ago. Probably need to revisit it and do another one. Clairvoyant, clairescience, there's couple of them. I think out of the five, I've operated in all of them, but really there was three or two or three that really a lot more than just the certain ones. And I can't even, I'd have to go over the video again because it was about a year ago or a little bit more than a year ago those videos came out. So what I'm saying is sometimes we have to know that some people have to do something that we don't want them to because we don't think they should, but really they have to go back and almost get something changed, learn a lesson from something. Maybe it's the rear view mirror. Just go get change the blind spots. Do the work on yourself. Change the blind spots. Yeah. And you say, what are you talking about? So I do have a little with this. So we're going to call this off the cuff. I do have a little something to share, to read. And then as we read and share it, I just wanted to go off the cuff and just talk about this in a whole different way. So what I was talking about was a base conscious reality, right? A base conscious reality, which is 3D base. You're really materialistic. All you value is materialism. Not because you're evil, because that's all you know. You haven't been awakened to anything more. Everything to you is base reality. And this goes into the concept of the, which is really, as we're going to read, is that we talked about soul loss and amnesia. These are parts of it, but we're not going to really stress those. Those are problems when this becomes a problem of not ever budging from this concept that we're going to talk about. But also for you guys who are awakened and wanting more from some of your family and friends, remember this. I had to correct myself or have myself corrected with trying to give people like, here we go. We're dulling out of demystifying a reality. We're uncensoring, like the back of West Coast Uncensored. We're uncensoring the censored, or we're undemystifying the mysteries, the mystics, and also unocculting the occultic. But remember, there's a reason why this stuff was occultic in the first place, because you get this in the hands of somebody in base 3 Buddhism. Their either belief systems will push it aside and call it false because of their belief systems, or if they see value in it and know there's something to it, they can use it for bad juju, as some would say, or bad energy, or for corruption. Not using it for we're using it for power, actually, trying to get power out of it, trying to get a plug-in, trying to find some power that they can get to fuel some of their power plays they want to make, from all kinds of levels to the highest level that we know of the powers that we call them or they, or the powers that be, the elite. We got all kinds of names we give them and stuff. So let's read this. Base conscious, known as Mulva or Mulva Jhana or Allah Yav. Jhana is a concept in Buddhism that refers to the foundation of the dualistic reality. So we see it right here in Buddhism, definitely. And for you guys don't know, I've kind of looked this up. I will be doing some videos on ancient esoteric knowledge from Tao and Buddhist. It was everywhere. This concepts of the occult and dualism and all of this definitely was in Buddhism, as we see here, Taoism. There's secrets of esoteric Buddhism. There's esoteric Taoism. There's esoteric Chinese in the Chinese religions or the in their concepts. It was everywhere, just not Eastern. It's Eastern and Western. It's worldwide. It's very ancient and stuff. So refers to the foundation of a dualistic reality, also known as the storehouse consciousness, because it's where people plant their karmic seeds. The seeds are potential energy that can manifest as mental and physical existence. And remember, I started out using a vase, right? How the vase became skinnier as it went up, but was rounded more at the foundation of it, squared, rounded. And it goes out and it goes skinnier as the road becomes to the top, a highway to heaven. And what am I saying there? That the base foundation of a dualistic reality is a storehouse consciousness, because what goes in the base is water to put your plants in, or your roses in, or your flowers in, to try to in the vastness, it's in the language. So you might say, what are you trying to say? What I'm not trying to say, what I am saying is, when people are in this place, because remember, we went over the karma versus dharma before. Karma and the ride of just repeat and rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. You're on this Ferris wheel, you keep getting on and off, on and off. The white light syndrome, right? Where the white light, don't make it racial because it's not racial. It's all about the fragmentation of that white light is the more fragmented part. It's not a wholeness part. It's the lower realm part. It will draw upon you, and it's going to match your signature vibration frequency in the other colors too. So it's going to match you. That's why it will take people will go through it, be magnetized, like pulled into that white light, that karmic seeds, because you plant karmic seeds. The thing is, going through the karma, letting them play out as they become plants, and then you trade them in, and you become dharma, which ends up being your purpose. But this dualistic foundation of the dualistic reality of the concept of base consciousness is there until you break it, or until somebody breaks it and is willing to know, because we're trying to hope that people break it. I mean, I've been guilty of giving people knowledge they had no business hearing from me. I take responsibility for that in my days and in my times and years, giving them stuff that they cannot comprehend, that they did not get initiated for, that they were not ready. Their energetic field can't match that knowledge you're trying to give them, and that because they'll take it and they'll trot upon it, like the story says. I don't want to put everybody in the realm of the pearls with the swine, but that's what it is. It's about the swine will stomp on them because they find no value in a pearl, because what's a pearl to a swine? For a male in a higher consciousness, or to man itself, a pearl is a great price, right? It went through the suffering to go into the higher initiation. It went through a suffering. Pearls get rubbed in the oysters, rubbed, calloused, pain. It becomes a pearl. Through the process of an oyster, it became a pearl, right? And the pearl was a pearl of great price, but there was a lot of things that pearl went through. There's a lot of people initiation and change and multiplication of self and growth and expansion that people went through with the knowledge. And then we're trying to give them the knowledge we get through it to somebody who can't blow their nose spiritually yet and doesn't have any idea to get out of bed, or late for school spiritually. And what I mean is they're in a sleep state. They're still in the deep three conscious. And we cannot have expectations. This is actually very true. This base conscious reality makes so much sense when I really understood this is a form of the order from the lower to the upper, and it has an order, just like the elite have an order. Them, they, or house, whatever you want to call them, the you-know-who's, whatever they are. Roads all lead there, whatever version of what you want to give them and call them, is everything they do is by an order. Everything in the higher realms is by an order. That's why the 3D based is really not, the foundation is good because the upper is not good. It's actually inverted. That's where I always talk here about being inverted. The reality is inverted. It's upside down and it's backwards. Come on now. Inversion, which is connected, inverted is connected to perverted. Come on now. Inversion's connected to perverted. So it's perverted, inverted, and you have to flip it back up to get its right space. That's why the 3D reality, the ego is the boss. He comes in, yeah, I run the show for individuals. But when we have this change of waking up, we start seeing our ego and realizing it would say, because there's a time we wanted to kill everything we woke up to, but it's really getting it in its proper place when it gets properly vertical instead of perverted and inverted. It will eventually, through the process of refinement, alchemy, the fire comes in and cleanses, the dross will start coming out. And as you go through these processes, which keeps repeating itself like winter, fall, spring, and summer, alchemy does, it's the same thing. Outer alchemy and inner alchemy is the inner soul raising from this lower vibration to the highest place it can be, in you raising yourself even into higher self, which is future self. But anyways, and if we can come out of not judging them and quit giving them, because I know, I had 2 warnings. They don't match initiation and they don't match frequency. And it was like, oh, Danny, that's why they can't get it. It's not because they're so dumb that they just are stupid. It's which is easy to go and judge them, because they'll come at you when you give them this message and call you stupid, crazy, and that, you got it all. Many of you who are walking this walk have been called that before. Let's just be honest. Let's not hide here. Nowhere to hide from, except yourself. The one that hides is the ego. He loves to hide. He or she. Because of fear. Is that we've tried, and I definitely admitted it, I've been guilty of trying to get people wanting to have truth, but not realizing they don't match it. They can't get it from where you're at and giving it. They don't match the frequency, and they haven't gone through the initiation. You went through yours. So they're in base reality. Just turn this off. So yeah, I just wanted to go off the cuff on that today, share a little bit about base consciousness and being real with ourselves. Being real, take responsibility for your journey and realize you're really not responsible for somebody else's. You may be in their life for connection. It might even, you agreed on it before. There's some people that are connected to you as a karmic relationship, a soulmate, and that don't always have to be a relationship. Right? Those are 2, and there's actually a third. A karmic relationship, a soulmate relationship. There's another one I'm forgetting that would go with that many of us call twin flame. Those can be, but they don't even have to be that, but they can be relationships of marriages or couples that are that, because the combined about getting 2 people that are physically different, energetic, feminine and masculine, being able to do it on the physical to come together. As I just had the video just come out a few days ago, I think it was on the 25th, about what is not interaction, but when we come to the interaction of coming together, harmonizing, and the 2 opposites become one, not opposing forces, but working together to raise up in love and unity together. Like I would use feminine and masculine, the 2 hemispheres, logic and intuition, which I did a long time ago. And that's what it is. Now they don't fight and oppose each other, even though they're opposite sides. They become in a harmonized centering. So, and I've been guilty, again, of trying to get people to see something that's way out of their league, because the reality, if they were open, you may have to descend maybe into taking scriptures again from the New Testament and showing something that you used to preach 20 years ago, when because I've shared this before. I came to the reality that I was in an esoteric Christianity for about 18 to 20 years when I woke up, 1992, I was. The last 12 years, I woke up from that to the next level, where it's just no holds barred, esoterica, conscious rising, no Gnostic. You got to have gnosis. You mature ones, gnosis is your knowers, needs to be turned on. That's why discernment is something that keeps growing. So discernment's not something just for a one-time thing. Discernment, you discern from every level. You got to have good discernment, or you'll be played. There's a song by The Who that I might even break down. I was looking at the words and thinking about the words. I go, this song is deeper than deep than I thought it was, and it's called Don't Get Fooled Again. It was on some of these TV shows. It was on the 1 week TV show, before. But anyways, you guys have a great day. We got some more videos coming up. Remember, there's a base reality, like a vase, of duality. And that people, until they know it, will be dual natured all the time. You guys have a great day.